Hi, welcome everyone. We'll get started in just a minute. Welcome everyone. My name is Sarah Carr, and I am Chief Knowledge Broker for OCTO, Open Communications for the Ocean, and we're very pleased to have you all here today. And we'd really like to welcome today's presenters. We have Dr. Judy Mann-Lang, who is the MPA Day founder. We have Katja Laingui and Paul Truth, who are the European co-coordinators for MPA Day. Katja is going to be presenting, and Paul is going to be help answering questions in the chat and the Q&A. And we're very pleased they will be talking today about launching the first Marine Protected Areas Day. Before we get started, I'll let you know, first of all, a little bit more about OCTO. OCTO is an NGO that connects ocean professionals to the knowledge and networks they need through our webinar series and our MPA help, EBM help, and ocean plastic list communities. We also provide custom consulting services. Well, for today's webinar, we'll have a formal presentation from Judy and Katja, and then we will have time for questions and answers. Feel free to send in questions at any point during the webinar. We'll have time to answer them afterwards, and Paul may be able to answer them during the webinar as well. You can communicate with each other and with us in the chat, as well as through the Q&A. If you have questions for the presenters, it's much easier for us if you put them in the Q&A. But if you had questions or relevant input that you wanted to share with the wider community relevant to today's topic, please go ahead and put that in the chat and other people can see it right away. And I think that's it. I wanted to let you know that we'll have a recording of today's webinar available on the OCTO website later today, which it's www.octogroup.org/webinars. And then the webinar will also be available on the MPA Day website shortly thereafter. Thank you. Welcome, everyone, and especially a welcome to Judy and Katja and Paul. I will turn it over to you guys now.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and greetings to all of you. Thank you really for joining us for this webinar today. I'm excited to see the numbers coming in, and it really is a privilege and a pleasure for us to share with you Marine Protected Areas Day. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to, as Sarah said, thank you, Sarah. She's told us that we're going to start off with just a little bit of the history and how we started and launched the first Marine Protected Areas Day. So my part of the webinar is going to be looking back at where it all came from. And then Katja's part of the webinar is looking forward. So she's going to take us into the future and tell us a little bit about how Marine Protected Areas Day is growing. Now, because I know that all of us are probably very familiar with marine protected areas, I decided to skip all the slides that talk about what an MPA is and just move straight into launching the first Marine Protected Areas Day, how it happened and how it grew. Our story started in 2015, and in 2015, our marine protected area estate in South Africa, that means the marine protected areas we had in South Africa, amounted to only 0.4% of our exclusive economic zone, and most of them were coastal. We had no offshore MPAs. Our scientists had been working really, really hard, understanding exactly what was in our EEZ and where we needed protection so that we could protect a representative range of ecosystems in our EEZ. And by 2016, they were ready, and the government published draft notices for 23 new proposed MPAs or extended MPAs. And here you can see from this map, that's the map of South Africa, that's our EEZ, and all the different colors were the new proposed MPAs, each of which had been very, very carefully chosen and cited in a way that would optimize protection of marine resources and marine biodiversity while minimizing any form of conflict or minimizing wherever possible conflict with shipping lanes, with with fisheries, etc., etc. So a lot of work went into these. In addition to that, in 2016, we started a long consultation process, which was in addition to the previous consultation process. So this
Judy,
was a wider
if
process. Well,
Judy, if you could
sorry?
slow down just a hair.
Okay, am I going too fast? Okie dokes. I'm looking at the time going, no, no, no. Okay. So we decided to really, so we had this entire network. It was ready. It was good to go. It had been carefully planned based on good science and good stakeholder analysis with key stakeholders, for example, the shipping industry, the oil and gas industry, and the big fisheries. So when the consultation process started now, this is the second phase in 2016, it was really normal fishermen, normal people. What do we think about this marine protected area network? And things were going really well. And it was expected that the new marine protected areas would be promulgated in about mid-2017. So we were ready for these new MPAs. People were generally supportive of them and things were good to go. But then we found by mid-2018, nothing had happened. We were waiting. And what was worse was we found that behind the scenes in government, over 90% of our EEZ, our exclusive economic zone, had actually been allocated to oil and gas exploration. And there was a feeling that perhaps the oil and gas exploration was going to supersede the marine protected areas and that we were going to lose this momentum that we just started to get these new MPAs proclaimed. So the scientists and the conservationists came to us. At that time, I was working at an aquarium in Durban, and they said, we need to do something. We cannot let this happen. We've got to communicate more broadly. We've been talking to government, we've done stakeholder analysis, but we need broad national support in South Africa for these new marine protected areas. Now, being good communicators, we decided, okay, what we need to do is start off by just trying to understand what do people know about marine protected areas. If we take the general public and we say, we want you to support MPAs, what do they really hear? What do they know about MPAs? And we started off with some research at our aquarium in Durban, asking visitors, what do they know about marine protected areas? And we were very sad and somewhat shocked to find that over 78% of our visitors could not name one marine protected area in South Africa. This was surprising for us because we've had marine protected areas in South Africa along our coast for over 60 years. So this was a big wake-up call for us and a realization that most people have no idea what a marine protected area is, let alone being able to name one along our coast. What's more is we found that those who did know what a marine protected areas were used the word no in their description of an MPA. No fishing, no diving, no walking. And this was a bit of a shock for us because it made us realize that most people associated marine protected areas with a negative concept, with the word no. And if you look at that sign for one of our marine reserves, you can understand why, because the word no does feature very frequently in signage in our MPAs. So now we're starting to get an understanding of our audience. If we want to make marine protected areas something positive and exciting, we needed to somehow look at how we've communicated them in the past and change that going into the future. We asked people, what do they feel about MPAs? We asked them the question, I support MPAs. And these were some of the answers. 33% of them said it was because it protects the ocean. Interestingly, nearly 30%, 29% said they support MPAs because they love the ocean. So we're starting to move from just knowledge to more emotions. Very interestingly, for 18% of our visitors, they said they support MPAs because they want their children to inherit a world that is better than what we have now. They are looking to the future. They want their children to still be able to swim, to go fishing, to enjoy the ocean. So these answers were starting to help us work out how we frame our communication for the MPAs. But ultimately, the lesson we learned is that we all wear invisible lenses. Some people look at MPAs as incredible places of biodiversity that are worth protecting. Other people look at MPAs as areas where you can't do anything, where they've just shut us out. And even other people look at it as being places that have taken away traditional livelihoods, access to resources. So we all view marine protected areas through our own lenses based on our experiences. And this information helped us to start looking at how we're going to communicate about MPAs. And we published this result, the research results, much later, obviously, in an international journal, because we were trying to share what we'd learned with others. And all of this helped us to inform our 2018 MPA campaign. This had a few target audiences because now remember, this is when we're going, we have got to get these things through. We don't want oil and gas to take over our entire EEZ. So our audiences were decision makers in the government. And for them, we produced a special book that we actually put on the table of each person, member of parliament in the government houses so that they could get information straight away. Aquarium visitors, we put together 2 displays at our 2 South African aquariums. Then for the general public, we had a campaign called Only This Much, using that 0.4% as a factor that would really hopefully get people interested. And then on our youth side, they started something called Youth for MPAs, and they did marches and all sorts of things. So we started to generate that public support, building an understanding of what people knew and felt about MPAs, and trying to generate public support for these MPAs, which would hopefully just get them over the line. And then, yay! On the 1st of August 2019, 20 new marine protected areas were implemented in South Africa. And I think we must have been one of the few countries in the world that actually got from 0.4% to 5% in one set of declarations. And you can see on that map the network of MPAs that we now have in South Africa. But that's not the end of the story. We got the MPAs, but now we had to keep support going. We had to build support for these MPAs because MPAs are only as good as the support that they have from people. We don't want them just to be paper parks. We wanted to keep the journey going. And that was the challenge that was posed to us, is how do we keep raising awareness and building support for MPAs? So I started thinking, and one morning in the shower, I thought, we have a special day for everything. We have World Oceans Day, World Pangolin Day, Rhino Day, Arbor Day, Penguin Day. In fact, there are probably almost 100 different special days to celebrate different things. And these are very effective at raising awareness of these various issues. So we thought, well, I thought, why don't we start MPA Day? And I proposed it to my husband, and he said, what's MPA Day? And I said, I don't know yet. I think it's an idea. Let's see how we can make it happen. So step 1 was to actually find the team. And this was probably one of the most important things we did. We contacted a series of people and friends and colleagues and said, do you want to help us make MPA Day a success? And most of them said, I don't know what MPA Day is, but it sounds like a good idea. And we didn't have any budget, so we needed a lot of passion. So this was the core team that really started us on this journey. Then we put together our goals to create an annual global awareness day. We were ambitious. To increase public understanding and appreciation of the value of both the oceans as well as marine protected areas. To inspire communities, schools, and organizations to engage with marine protection. We wanted to highlight the role of MPAs in achieving global ocean conservation goals, so looking at that bigger picture. We did want to encourage stronger political and financial support for ocean protection, one of the goals we're still working on. And then to share science stories and successes through our social media, #MPA Day, and Let's Talk MPA. So we put together our goals, we put together our team. Naturally, when we selected the day, we decided the 1st of August was going to be MPA Day. Firstly, it didn't have too many clashes on other environmental days, and it was a special day because it was when our new MPAs were proclaimed in South Africa. Now, just note to self, if you want to start a global awareness day, do not start it in the middle of a pandemic, which is when we started our MPA Day. So in 2021, we thought, right, what are we going to do? So we decided we were going to do a virtual tour where we had people situated in various MPAs around the coast, and we had a webinar where we were able to cross live to the people on the coast, and they could tell us what they were looking at in the rocks, on the estuaries, on the beach. So we couldn't get people into the MPAs because it was lockdown, so we took the virtual tour into the MPAs so that we could take the MPAs into people's homes and onto their screens. And we had nearly 250 people on that webinar. So it was a very stressful thing, trying to get all the timing right and make sure the wind wasn't blowing in the wrong place. But anyway, it really worked well. We had a photo competition. We had the aquarium exhibits in our 2 different aquariums. And we actually had over 5 million Rand, which is not a lot in dollars, but in media that we generated. And our social media reach was pretty good at 3.1 million for just something that's brand new that we just started. And obviously, we were just South Africa at that time. 2022, we moved up. We had 6 in-person activities. So we're just starting to come out of our lockdown. We started to have kids' activities in schools. We still continued with the photo competition. We had a live webinar. We created a film with a local celebrity. Bio Blitz on iNaturalist, which was something different. And our media increased, as did our social media reach. So you could see we were starting to create something that sort of seemed to be working in South Africa. We created YouTube and website to go along with the social media. So we had all of the traditional social media sites. And in 2023, we got our first international partner, and Tanzania came on board with a webinar. So now we had 2 countries. We kept going with our virtual tours. We'd gone up to 8 in-person activities. We also had a kelp night at the 2 Oceans Aquarium. We created video series, and our media increased even more. And Youth for MPAs really started to support this activity and to take MPA Day as something that they wanted to help grow. We created a Trello board for easy sharing of resources. So anyone who wanted to be a part of MPA Day could be a part of MPA Day. And as I'm going to say at the end, I'll say it now, MPA Day is for everyone. And we shared all of the resources we created so that anyone could be a part of it. We got to 2024. Now we managed to get up to 12 countries hosting in-person activities. We still held a virtual tour. We had over 40 in-person activities in these 12 countries. We continued with webinars. And the reason we were able to do this expansion was really thanks to our partnership with Mission Blue and with Helcom and Protect Baltic. So they were the key people that really helped us to take the sort of local event, which was growing slowly social media wise, but not really activity wise, starting to grow. They helped us to take it to a new level. And in 2024, I was absolutely thrilled by what we'd been able to achieve. I was amazed that this day had been able to grow into something that had this kind of reach that you can see. And just to see all of these countries and all of these people participating, celebrating, thinking about marine protected areas and why they're important was really exciting. Because we were working with two media companies, Flow and OJ Communications, they entered us into awards, which I don't know a lot about, but apparently in the marketing world, this is important. And we were actually able to win several awards, both locally in South Africa, as well as internationally, including the Shorty Impact Award, which is apparently quite a big one. And then one of my favorites one is the PR on a shoestring, and I'll explain to you why that one's important just now. We entered into the Ocean Love Awards, and we managed to come 7 out of 80 entrants, which we thought was quite exciting. And then Why I said that shoestring is important is because throughout this entire time, we did not have a cent dedicated to MPA Day. The growth was built on passion, enthusiasm, and individuals and organizations coming together because they believed that Marine Protected Areas Day could be something that would create meaning and that could help to raise the profile and build support for MPAs. And to me, that makes it absolutely incredible. But now we'd got to the end of 2024 and we needed to start planning for 2025. And there, the key thing was to build the dream team. And I'm going to pass over to Katja in just a slide or two, because the Protect Baltic Helcom team and Mission Blue, together with Two Oceans Aquarium, really helped us to build that core dream team. And that's what enabled us to do what we've achieved, as Katja will explain to you just now. But my last slide really is here, and that is just an enormous thank you to everyone who's been part of our journey since that little idea in the shower started to grow. People have believed in the idea and they've come on board. And I think that one of the reasons is because MPA Day does belong to everyone, and which is why we're so excited to be with you here with Octo. And Sarah's given us this opportunity to share MPA Day because it really is a day for everyone. Katja, over to you.
Thanks so much, Judy. All right, let me swap over quickly. And I did see a hand, and I don't know if we are going to do questions yet or whether we're waiting for after I'm done. So I think I'll just continue, if that's all right. And firstly, I just want to say it's so amazing to see so many of you here. So really thank you for attending this webinar. And it's so amazing to see so many of you from various parts of the world. So this is super exciting already. And also some familiar names, which I really appreciate. Hello, Anzio. I'm going to give you a special shout out. We used to work together, so it's really nice to see you in this webinar as well. All right, so I'm Katja Laingui, as I have been introduced. I'm the co-coordinator along with Paul Trauth at Helcom for the European aspects of MPA Day. And so I will go through some of the recent developments and also how you can get involved in this very exciting day. And I just want to start with the actual title that I've got on the screen, which is Ocean Protection Needs Human Connection, which is an extremely important one for two reasons. It is firstly the theme of this year. So if you are planning on doing anything on MPA Day this year, this is the theme that we are trying to get out there and trying everyone to follow. So please have a think about what this means to you if you are planning on doing something, and then start planning your events according to this theme. On a different note, it also is a slightly personal one because the ocean protection needs human connection aspect is quite literally how this happened. I come from Cape Town as well. This is how I know Judy. I used to work together with her at the Two Oceans Aquarium Foundation, and ended up moving from Cape Town all the way to Finland, Helsinki, which is where I am today. And so the human connection here is that I started working at the Baltic Marine Environment Protection Commission, which is the very long name for Helcom, the Helsinki Commission, which is based in Helsinki. And I specifically work for a project called Protect Baltic. And this project is all about MPAs. We essentially are trying to come up with a framework for the countries around the Baltic Sea on how to establish more MPAs and how to choose where to designate those MPAs in a very ecosystem-oriented way. And so when I started this project, I was like, maybe MPA Day would be something that we could align with. It would make total sense, surely. And so I contacted Judy and some of my other colleagues from Cape Town, and this is where we are now. So MPA Day 2024. Judy has showed a little bit of what's happening, what happened in that year. Europe started pretty small. We had the webinar with Helcom. So this was our very first contribution to MPA Day. We had a webinar about the MPA guide, which was really successful and nice. And I think it was a really great contribution. It was a very small start to our contribution. And there were some other events as well, like the virtual tour. Sweden, for the first time, joined the virtual tour. That was a very South African initiative, which was really great. And we also had events, an event in Iceland, which was part of one of the Mission Blue hope spots. And Mission Blue, I must say, is our biggest kind of organization of our core committee that really carries the international aspect of our MPA Day at the moment. There are so many amazing hope spots around the world, and so many of them have now joined celebrating MPA Day, which has been really amazing to see. And we really have seen the growth in the last year or so. So MPA Day 2025, let's go to last year. Much bigger all of a sudden. You can see lots more stars on the map. And this is what was really exciting for us. We just started seeing the growth immediately. And this was potentially partly because Paul and I put quite a lot of effort into meeting with our European partners, meeting with European organizations that were interested in doing something for MPA Day. And we then saw major activities, especially in Germany. Shout out to Germany. You really were the one country that brought the most events in Europe, I would say, which was really great to see, which was anything from educational activities to like a museum night in Stralsund, which was really cool. And we had other countries as well that joined, such as the UK, Ireland, Lithuania, Spain, Italy, and Norway. So it was really awesome to see such big growth happen in this particular year. Another cool one that I just want to highlight, there was a catamaran in the Baltic Sea that traveled together with a bunch of artists. The artists were on the catamaran and they went from different places in the Baltic Sea and did art inspired by the Baltic Sea specifically. And they actually did a radio broadcast on the day, on MPA Day, which was a really interesting addition to MPA Day activities. And I'll talk about that later, but doing things on MPA Day is really world's your oyster. You can come up with really cool, wild ideas. There's no prescription or like no formal list as to what you should or shouldn't do. You can come up with anything, like a radio broadcast, for example. And what I want to show you next is the video that shows you all of the activities really that happened in 2025, just to show the growth that we experienced and how many regions and places in the world took part. So I'm going to play the video now for you.
Katja, is there sound associated with this?
There should be.
Okay, we are not hearing it.
I'm so sorry. What I'm going to do is unshare, because what I have probably done is not share with sound, which is a very silly thing of me to do. So let's try again.
Oh yeah, now we hear it, yes.
Great. So you can see from the sheer multitude of logos that there were just a sheer multitude of people and organizations that took part. And here are just a few stats for the day in 2025. We think 103, we think it's probably slightly higher. It's one challenge we are having is to really measure how many things are happening, and how to really keep track of that. But 103 events at least, 39 countries in 2025, which is a huge shot up from 2024, which we're super excited about. 125 partners, 31 hope spots, 7 continents, which that was probably the most exciting. We saw on social media that a research station in Antarctica celebrated MPA Day for the first time. And so we were like, yes, finally we have all the continents under our belt. So that was cool. And an 8 million reach on social media. So we really were so excited about how last year went. And it is just hopefully an upward trend from now on. This is also just a quick screenshot of a really cool map that Paul, who's also on this call, created for last year. And it really showcased kind of the stretch of where these events were taking place, from the Pacific Ocean to the Red Sea, to the Baltic Sea, to Iceland, Australia. So it was really lovely to have it all kind of in one place to see how much we've grown. And then the core committee that is currently in place to really run kind of more strategic planning and things like that. These are the organizations. So as I mentioned, I work for HELCOM and the Protect Baltic project specifically. Then we have Judy, who's at the Two Oceans Aquarium Foundation. We have Two Oceans Aquarium, who's one of the founding members, of course, Mission Blue founding member, and a really huge part of our core committee just because of the reach they have. We have the Ocean Advocate who's come on board, which is really exciting. And then Youth for MPAs is our Southern African youth representation, which is very cool because we very much want to have a diverse core committee, and make sure that we are able to really represent as many regions and people as possible. And so our core committee essentially sits with the responsibilities of communication, of communicating what MPA Day is about and how to really get involved, about the amplification of it, to make sure that we can spread all the cool activities that everyone else is doing around on social media, especially, and also that we are part of the strategy. So we are the ones that strategize on how we can make it grow, what we can do to make it a bigger day, and to share the positive aspects of what MPAs are. And so that then filters into global actions and media, into regional actions, and this could also have national actions included. And then those filtered down into local actions and communities and media, because those are the ones that we want to reach. And I'll talk about that more in a second. And then I want to also highlight, as I said, that we have youth involvement now. We have Youth for MPAs on the core committee now, and I spotted Asa is here, so hi Asa. And she's our youth representative for kind of more Southern Africa. And we also have a new recruit who hasn't actually joined a meeting yet, but will do so this week. And he's our European representative who's also in this call. So Anton will be joining us and will forge connections with the European youth organizations, and hopefully we can get more of them on board as well. So it's very important to us that we have that link. Okay. Now, what we did as a core committee, because all of the local actions were, of course, done by local organizations, we don't really do on the ground stuff as much, but we can do kind of bigger campaigns and things. And one of the new ideas we had for 2025 was a campaign called Creative Waves. And this was really to bring MPA Day to new audiences. And this particular audience is artists. And by art, I mean the vaguest term of all. So literally any art, paintings, sculptures, poetry, animations, whatever kind of forms of art we welcomed. And what we did last year, we contacted specific artists and did some interviews with them and highlighted specific work that was inspired by the ocean by them on the day. And then we also ran a social media campaign encouraging artists on social media to share something on MPA Day that they have worked on or have done in the past that was inspired by the ocean, so that we got quite a bit of movement on the day, which was really exciting. And we'll continue this again this year So if you are art-minded, know artists, please do keep this in mind and see if you can spread the word about Creative Waves 2026. And then another centralized effort from the core committee was to reach yet another different type of audience, and this was athletes. And we all know, and many of you are, I'm sure, runners and surfers and cyclists and kayakers and whatever else, and you enjoy the nature and the natural spaces that you do your sport in. And so we thought, just as a kind of trial run, that we would do a Run for MPAs campaign on Strava, which is an app that many athletes use. And so we encouraged people to go for a walk or a waddle or a run on the day and essentially do it in honor of MPA Day. And so this is again something we would like to continue in 2026 and expand to other disciplines of sport. So we'll definitely be doing that. We have already looked into engaging with surfers around the world as well as divers. And so this will probably form part of the run slash cycle slash whatever other sport we are going to do for MPA Day this year. Then another effort for us was, while MPA Day is one day of the year, we would like to celebrate MPAs throughout. And we started on the 1st of August last year with a highlight of an MPA, as well as a person that works in that MPA or with that MPA. And that is Voices for MPAs. We have now done that since August until now, every month. We put out a new Voices for MPA article. And essentially, it's an interview with a person who works within an MPA, and they talk about what their favorite thing about the MPA is, what is special about the MPA they work with, and then we highlight them. Now, here's my request. If you are someone who works in an MPA and would like to highlight your MPA specifically, here's one way for you to get involved. We would love to hear from you. It's a very low threshold activity. You literally have to answer about 5 questions, and you have to send us some photos, one of yourself and some photos of the MPA itself. That's it. And then we can highlight you on the MPA Day website. And in that way, we can really showcase the connection between protection and humans, that humans, we are here, we will be here, we are the ones doing the protecting, hopefully. And so we can really show that link through articles like this on our website. Then, how can you get involved specifically? All of you that are here, it's so great to see so many of you here. And I'm going to start kind of on the top level, which is partnerships. And by what I mean by that is really to increase the global reach, to get connections on a national level or regional or international level. We want to create more networks of organizations that can get involved, more connections where there's some relevance, whether it's artists and maybe an art school that wants to get involved, things like that. So it's really all kinds of facets that we would like to get involved in MPA Day. We would potentially also look at things like fundraising, researching what the impact and the growth of MPA Day is. So if you are interested in any of these kind of aspects, please do reach out to us. We'll be really happy to start collaborating and talking about this type of involvement. We do focus on getting things like the growth of MPA Day to happen organically. We don't like forcing things. If you are super interested in getting involved, yay, we'll be very excited to talk to you. But so far it has grown in a very organic, nice way, and that is what we'd like to continue in the future as well. But yes, please get in touch with us if you are interested in a more kind of strategic partnership, or if you feel like you are representing an organization that has many connections to other organizations, and in that way we can spread the word. Then we have the online content way of getting involved. There's a lot of social media activity that a lot of organizations did for MPA Day in the recent years. So you as an organization or as an individual can just create content, use the brand kind of messaging of MPA Day. We have the logos available, so people can just really make their own content and create it and put it online. We also are happy to share what you are doing. We have social media accounts for MPA Day, so we would be happy to do that. You can also, as an interesting way of getting involved, we would be interested in getting guest blogs for the MPA Day website. If there's something that you'd really like to talk about, that would be also, we're open to those discussions and would be happy to have some guest bloggers for the website just to keep the activity going and keeping the interest going as well. So online is probably one of the easiest way to get involved. You can literally take a photo of a nice MPA day that you visit and share that on social media and use the right hashtags and tag us. And that's already spreading awareness and being part of the day. Then we have online events. If you are an organization that isn't necessarily on the ground and can't do an in-person event, an online event is also a really great way of getting involved. And this is where webinars, for example, on the day are quite a good choice. There were a few of them last year already, and there are so many topics around MPAs that are very important to be discussed. This is also an easy way to reach a lot more people because of course anybody can tune in if you market your webinar enough. So this is also a really easy way to get involved if in-person events are a difficult option, for example, for your organization. And then we have the in-person events. Arguably, this is probably the most impactful, and we do like these a lot because the organizations in communities are the ones who know best how to reach their communities. And here it is such an amazing diversity of activities that we've seen throughout the years. I mean, anything from an educational talk at a beach, at a museum, cleanups is always a big feature, kayak trips to learn more about the MPA that you are kayaking through, hikes and runs, art installations. For example, last year we had a South African town and an Italian town collaborate on the day, and they were doing art at the same time and kind of linking those together for MPA Day. So there's really, really cool ideas on how to do in-person events, and these are usually hands-on learning is proven to be a very impactful tool to learn about different things. And so these are the ones that are very, very important for MPA Day as well. But having said that, all the activities happening on MPA Day are so important and so impactful in different ways. So we appreciate any involvement that people want to get into. Now, hopefully, I know Judy has mentioned this already, but we try and make it very easy for everyone. So we have created the Trello board, which has anything from a foundation document about MPA Day, if you want to learn more about what MPA Day is all about, to what the theme is this year, to brand guidelines. You can download the logos. We have templates. We, for example, have templates for different species that you might want to highlight in your region, and you can just use the template and create your own, and you can share that on social media or use it in an educational event. So there are quite a few different things that you can already use so that it is much easier for people to get involved. We want to try and make it as easy as possible to do something on the day. We are also open to suggestions. If you feel like the Trello board is missing something, do let us know, and we'd be happy to see if we can create something for that specific reason. And my last slide is how to connect with us. You can go visit the website, mpaday.org. Lots of information there. You can see what's happened in the previous years. Go and subscribe and follow us on social media. We are on almost all of them, so please do check in with us, and you can always also contact us via the social media accounts. But the easiest way, I think, if you are interested in getting involved, is our email address, which is info@mpaday.org. And most likely it'll be Paul or I replying to you or directing it to the most relevant person. But we're very excited. I thank you so much for coming at so many people coming to this webinar. It's really been so great to see, and I hope a lot of you are keen to get involved this year for MPA Day 2026. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. It's so amazing to see all the energy here and hear all about the cool ideas that are going on for past and hopefully upcoming MPA days. For everybody who's on the webinar, now is your chance to have Judy, Katja, and Paul answer all your questions. So if you want to put them in the chat, then we can relay them. Sorry, didn't mean to say the chat, the Q&A, although the chat will work too. Let's see. So we have a question of when will the event registration open this year?
Very valid question, which I actually was meant to say. We are working on that. So what I would actually like to suggest you do is go to our website and subscribe to our mailing list. If you are subscribed to that, we will then be able to contact you to say, please register your event now. So go ahead and go to our website and then we'll let you know. I hope in the next month or two latest, be able to open that registration.
Fantastic. There was a question earlier, it was sort of a comment that we should be encouraging resources, not just going to opening new EPAs, but also supporting the ones that exist, and especially to make sure they can move from some that are paper parks can move towards more effective management. Is there any sort of distinction in MPA Day activities or anything you guys wanted to say about that?
I hand that over to Judy. Yeah, go for it.
When I when I saw that question, thanks Sarah and Paul. When I saw that question, it's a question that we often get asked. So many marine protected areas are proclaimed. There's been the race for 30 by 30. So we have seen lots of marine protected areas being proclaimed. Many of them are paper parks because they only exist on paper. Our goal with MPA, we can't solve all the challenges facing MPAs. What we can do is build awareness and support that MPAs are there. We can create an understanding of why they're there and start to build support on the ground. If we're going to rely on governments all the time to do the enforcement and manage the MPAs, we're probably never going to get it right. But if we can build people on the ground who support MPAs, who realize their value, and who want them to be around for their children, their children's children, that's really what we're trying to do with MPAs. There are many people who are working at government level, at organizational level, at international levels. We're coming in at a different angle. We're trying to touch people's hearts. We're trying to touch their hands and we're trying to touch their minds, because through that, we're hoping to build that support for marine protected areas. And it starts with knowing that there's amazing life in the ocean and that it's worth protecting. So that's kind of the thinking behind. We can't solve the paper park issue, but we can hope to build support of people on the ground around marine protected areas. And that's really, I think, where we're trying to focus our energy. But it's a really good question, and it's one that comes up quite frequently.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you, Judy. A great question from Jennifer. In northern Kenya, we work closely with beach management units, BMUs. How can we leverage the MPA Day platform to ensure that local community-led conservation efforts feel connected to this global community and see the value of their contribution?
Mhm. We'd love to have the Kenyan BMUs participate, just like we'd like to have the community management systems around Madagascar participate, because really, while the focus is on marine protected area, as a name, it's really about all of us working together towards ocean protection. And the BMUs are critical partners. So we would love to be able to see how we could involve them more. Because one of the things that's so important that I've seen through MPA Day, when we first started it and ran it, it was maybe 5 or 6 organizations just in South Africa. And you think, my goodness, the world's oceans need so much more. And after MPA Day 2025, when we saw hundreds of activities, we realized just how many people do care for the ocean. We so often get this negative, negative, negative. And MPA Day is about positive, and it's about building those connections with people. So building support for BMUs, people working in Madagascar and people working in Sweden or Canada. And it's about building those connections, because together we can make a difference. Individually, it's pretty tough, but together we can make a difference. And just knowing that there's so many people that share the same passion as we share has been really inspiring. So BMUs, we'd love to work with you in Kenya.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Judy. Another great question came in from Jennifer. I and other team members currently are planning World Seagrass Day 2026 for our region. Judy, from your experience with MPA Day, what is the most effective hook to get coastal businesses like hotels or shipping to move from being simple donors to becoming strategic partners in ocean protection?
Wow, well, that is quite a big question. Um,
Yes.
When it comes to that, my approach is always to look at a very personal level. So working one-on-one. I don't believe in just sending an email and hoping something's going to happen. So if you've got key businesses that you could get involved practically on the ground with the Seagrass Day, I would really advocate for connecting with individuals. So one-to-one individual connections, and then saying, how would you like to partner with us? How can we make this work? How can we make it benefit you? How can we make it benefit the seagrass meadows that you're looking at? So looking at a personal approach. So, and then being very clear on what you want to achieve. I think that when we put MPA Day together, we were very clear on what our outcomes were. And one of the things that we need to do this year is to start measuring our achievements and to start evaluating the effectiveness. We can measure the numbers, but now we need to start looking at the impact. So with the question that was asked about businesses and seagrasses, what do you want the businesses to do? How can they get involved in a way that is meaningful? So I would ask that question first and then move forward from there. Hope that helps. Have fun.
A great question. All right. Thank you. There was a question. Might you have a simple summary of MPA Day 2026 and all the different ways to get involved, including guest blogs, voices for MPAs, the various campaigns, etc., that we can circulate to contacts we have? It would be great to share this with our local staff that work with communities.
I think I can answer this one since it's a
Right.
communications question. So yeah, it's a great idea. We are actively working on creating something like this ahead of MPA Day 2026. The website has a history page, so you can actually go there and navigate yourself and see all the amazing things that happened last year to give you kind of a brainstorming idea of what possibly could happen. Because as has been presented here, what you can do on MPA Day to celebrate MPA Days, it's so open. The world is literally your oyster. There are so many things, but we can certainly provide a simple summary of the types of things and different ways to get involved for sure.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul. Um, the other questions, let's see. There was one about the Azores just achieved 30% I guess, of their EEZ and MPAs. Are they involved? If not, I just shared with Blue Ocean's program to get involved, and also this organization is a dive center, so that's great news. I don't know if you know offhand if the Azores is involved.
I don't think so, but please join us. That's awesome.
Fantastic. And that's the last of the questions we have. The other one is a general MPA question, not about MPA days specifically. So if anybody has quick, send it in. If not, we'll wrap up. But this was wonderful to learn about all the activities, that how MPA got started, and brainstorm about what we can do for this year's. Let's see. And then, are there any? There's some big comments. All right. I think we're good. Did you have any last thoughts? Paul, Katja, or Judy?
We had a raised hand then for a second, I think, but
We
then
do have
it
a raised
dropped again.
hand. Yep, I can unmute Melissa. We'll see if she's there. Actually, can I unmute her? Allow to talk. Melissa, the hand has been raised for a while, so it's possible that. But I think we won't worry about that. Anything else?
Just a very, very big thank you, Sarah and the Octo team, for giving us this platform. Thank you, Paul and Katja. I don't know where we would be without you. So thank you to both of you. And then thank you to everyone who's joined us. It was just so exciting to see how many people were interested at MPA Day. And I can't wait to see what we do for MPA Day 2026. And we're here to support and see how we can help it to grow. So thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all, and thank you all for attending. And we look forward to seeing you on MPA Day on August 1st and all the various manifestations and exciting projects. Okay.
Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
And thank you, Katja, Paul, and Judy. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.